What's up, you beautiful people? Welcome to another video. Okay, so if you're building a business right now, maybe a coach, a consultant, a service-based business, and you are struggling to break through your pricing ceiling, you've heard myself, you've heard others talk relentlessly about how the biggest lever that you have to pull to increase the profitability in your business is price. Just double your price, everybody says. Just double your prices, just triple your price. The first thing I would do if I came into your business to increase its profitability is I would just increase the prices, right? But you hear that and you think that can't possibly work for me. It can't possibly work in my business, can't work in my context. And I hear this all the time. In fact, earlier this week, I was sitting down with one of my coaching clients and I was telling him, you should charge this number for this service. And he's like, I don't know. And I'm telling you, that number is still low, but I'm throwing it out there for you because it's more palatable for you to understand that that's a number you could charge versus the number I think you could actually charge if you would just get out of your own way and pitch this thing with conviction. Now, the idea here I want you to take away, it's simple, but it is incredibly powerful, is that the transformation occurs at transaction. So what does that mean? It means simply that we do not charge a penny more than what we ourselves have already paid. So here's what that looks like. If you have only ever paid $2,000 to work with a coach, then you are not going to charge $20,000 to coach somebody else, right? You just wouldn't. You would be like, that's 10 times more. I only spent this much. There's a mental disconnect. You might not have the language to articulate it, but I'm telling you, if you've only ever charged $2,000, or if you've only ever paid somebody $2,000 for a service, you are never going to ask somebody else to pay 10 times that, right? So the transformation then occurs at transaction. If you were to go and work with a coach tomorrow and say, you know what, fuck, I want to get to be the person who can charge people $20,000 for my services, then go find somebody and give them that amount of money for their services, because you're going to cast a vote in your brain. You're going to say, you know what, I'm the type of person, one, that invests that kind of money into myself. Two, you're going to be able to see what that kind of money gets you as a service. So then you can pattern match and say, oh, I can definitely do that. Three is once you've spent that amount of money, you're going to have no problem asking other people to do it, because you're going to say, I have invested $20,000 into coaching or into consulting or whatever to earn this skill set that I am now going to help distribute to you. So if I've paid this, then other people will pay this. And I'm telling you, it's the fastest way to increase your value model, your pricing model, is to just simply go and increase the baseline temperature for the money amount that you've normalized inside of your brain. Because we've talked about this too. Like, everybody has a internal thermostat when it comes to dollars around certain products. Maybe around a car, you're like, oh, a $20,000 car, that's totally reasonable, not a big deal. If you were to go buy a $50,000 car that's over twice as expensive, you're like, hem and hawing, I don't know, that seems like too much, right? So what chance do you ever have of like going and buying $100,000 or $200,000 or $500,000 car, right? It's never going to happen, right? But if your baseline temperature for cars was $100,000, then going and buying a $200,000 car is much more conceivable than the guy who's only at $20,000. Same with like the steak dinner. If you only ever pay $15, $20 for a steak dinner, then when you go to the restaurant where it's $100, you're like, I think I'll just have a side salad, right? Like, you need to get into environments where you pay more. And in paying more, you increase your baseline temperature. You normalize the amount of money that you yourself spend on a thing, which then gives you the confidence, the conviction, and it normalizes that expenditure so that when you go to pitch it to somebody else, you don't bat an eye. Because if God, guys, I'm telling you, this might seem like overly simplistic, but I'm telling you, you need to spend money to make money. You've heard that phrase before, but you probably never heard about it. You never thought about it in this context, where it's simply, if you would just go spend more on the things similar to what you are asking other people to spend money on, it would completely change your paradigm. And then you would go into those sales and you would make a whole lot more money. So your homework this week is go find the thing. If you're a coach, a consultant, a service-based business, and you are hitting a limit right now, you have an upper limiting belief around, I can only charge $5,000. I want you to audit what you yourself have spent. You might be like, you know what, I'm charging $5,000, but in the past I have invested $10,000. Well, fucking remind yourself of that. Be like, I have done that. That is normal. That's not a big deal. And if you've never done that, well, maybe you should go do that right away. Maybe the gap between what you're charging and what you've paid in the past is still too small. It's still too close. So maybe what you need to do is you need to go level up the amount of money that you're willing to spend on a good coach, a good mentor, a good community, a good service provider, whatever the thing is, so that it can in turn start to transform the identity that you have for yourself as that type of person who can charge that amount of money. So I'm getting a little bit riled up here. It's just, it boggles the mind how simple this is. And I'm telling you this from firsthand experience, because I remember when the very first time I ever invested $10,000 into a coach. Before that, I think the largest amount I had put in was maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000, right? I don't even know what the number is, because the other thing is below a certain dollar amount, you forget it. Like the amount that I invest into coaching now is like in the six figures range, where it's like, $1,000 just seems such a small amount of money. I can't even imagine there was a time in my life where I thought like that was an amount. I just remember the 10,000 because like that one was way outside my comfort zone, and I hemmed and I hawed for weeks. And I remember talking to my dad, and he was the one that was ultimately like, you know what, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much they're charging, because you're going to be you're the type of person who's going to make it a positive ROI. And I was like, oh yeah, you're totally right. And as soon as I spent that money, like there was this light bulb, this switch in my brain where suddenly it became, I'm the type of person willing to invest that kind of money into myself. That became my new identity. And it was the easiest identity transformation I ever made. And I'm telling you, like it easy in the sense that all it took was me to make this, was to spend the money. Hard in the sense that you actually have to get outside of your own way. And a lot of people have like money hang-ups. I'm telling you, you'll never get a penny more than you think you deserve. And what you're willing to pay for a thing is a reflection of what you think you deserve. So take that, run with that, get out of your own way. Let me know down in the comments any money hangups that you have right now, things that are getting inside of your head, holding you back, limiting beliefs. Put them down in the comments. We'll try to unpack them on this channel. So make sure that you hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure that you put your hands in the hair and you wave them around like you just don't care. And I'll see you guys in the next video.